It feels like now more than ever, the mainstream press is finally starting to cover Donald Trump's obvious cognitive and physical decline. And that's because the White House still hasn't learned its lesson. Every time they try to hide Trump or downplay one of his scandals, it only makes things worse. It only draws more attention to how unfit he really looks. That's exactly why this health scandal is gaining momentum. The last time Trump tried to project strength, pretending to show leadership during his meeting with Vladimir Putin in Alaska, it actually left people more worried about his condition than ever. And now, new details about that meeting have only made the concerns grow louder. We're going to break all of that down. But before we dive in, if you're enjoying this content, make sure to hit the like button. And if you haven't already, subscribe. It really helps support the channel. Now, before we unpack how this meeting has once again put Trump's health in the spotlight, I want to start with something Rachel Maddow recently said about just how disastrous Trump's response to the war in Ukraine has been.
The White House occasionally hosts events at which the president says things. Those can be recorded and written down and covered admirably. There's also stuff they do, though. Here's an example of some good reporting on the distance between what the president says and what he actually does. Thursday, last week, the president went online and criticized Ukraine. He said Ukraine will never be able to defeat Russia in their war with Russia unless Ukraine, quote, plays offense. He said, quote, it's very hard, if not impossible, to win a war without attacking. Quote, there's no chance of winning. So that's the president saying a thing, right? Criticizing Ukraine for not attacking enough in its war with Russia, playing too much defense, not playing enough offense against Russia. That's what he says, for what it's worth. But when weighing what it's worth, consider what he does within that same subject matter, on that same issue, to that same point. In a 3-byline piece, the Wall Street Journal has now looked into what exactly the U.S. might be doing along these lines. Not just what the president is saying, but what the administration is actually doing. And what do you know? It turns out that the Trump administration is overtly and explicitly blocking Ukraine from what the president described as playing offense. The Trump administration is overtly and explicitly blocking Ukraine from sending any long-range missiles into Russia. Headline, Pentagon has quietly blocked Ukraine's long-range missile strikes on Russia. Yeah, well, he complains that Ukraine's not sending any missiles into Russia. Watch what he does, not what he says. Because is he really deploying the U.S. military to U.S. cities because of fighting crime? Are all the immigrants he's arresting really MS-13 gang members? Really? Even the ones that aren't?
One of my biggest frustrations with the mainstream media is how often they take Donald Trump's words at face value. They act as if simply giving a response means he's being transparent, when in reality, responding is not the same thing as answering. Time and again, we see his team, especially Carolyn Leavitt, offering spin and talking points instead of facts. That's not honesty, it's just deflection. And this matters because when Trump makes claims about something as serious as Ukraine, the press should be digging deeper. His words don't match his actions, and it's becoming clearer by the day how much influence Vladimir Putin has over him. Just look at what Trump said here. Right before we get into the shocking admission he made about that meeting, which only highlights his ongoing cognitive decline.
And I was just sent a picture from somebody that wants to be there very badly. He's been very respectful of me and of our country, but not so respectful of others. But I'm going to sign this for him, but I was sent one, and I thought you'd all like to see it. That's a man named Vladimir Putin, who I believe will be coming, depending on what happens. He may be coming, and he may not, depending on what happens. We have a lot of things happening over the next couple of weeks. But I thought it was a nice picture of him. Okay.
Donald Trump is really giving away the game. Vladimir Putin sent him a photo, and now he's his best buddy. But it didn't even stop there, because what Trump said about that meeting really more than anything not only goes to show that Putin is his puppet master, that Trump is weak and pathetic, but that he doesn't actually know what's going on. We saw reports after that meeting, after that fake peace summit in Alaska, that all around Donald Trump, his staffers and high-up advisors were terrified of what they saw, of what Donald Trump said, of what he didn't say. And it's even clearer with what he had to say right here. Trump admits he thought he had it done during Putin meeting. Donald Trump said he believed he had successfully negotiated an end to the Russia-Ukraine war during his recent summit in Alaska with President Vladimir Putin. In an interview with the Daily Caller, Trump broke down ongoing peace negotiations with Russia and Ukraine, and once again vowed that no American troops will be deployed to Ukraine in the future. Trump saying, "We're talking about a lot of lives. We're not talking about something that I started. I inherited this war, and all I'm trying to do is put out the flame, and I thought I had it done. I did it 7 times with others. I did it with wars that were tougher than this in terms of nobody. So 3 of those wars are going on for more than 30 years, and I got them all done. This war it's been very difficult. It's been a very difficult war." The interview dropped on Saturday as Trump opponents pushed speculation about the president's health, claiming that he had not been seen publicly in days, which is true. Trump was spotted, however, golfing on Saturday, as Ree also noted in an X post. Her interview was conducted on the White House on Friday afternoon amid the speculation. Trump's absence for days raised questions about his health, especially after reports of bruising on his hands and concerns about cognitive decline. And that connects directly to his recent meeting with Vladimir Putin, where Trump actually believed he had secured a peace deal when in reality he was being played. Putin's reaction made it obvious, and that moment left even his allies uneasy. But Trump's weakness on the world stage isn't limited to Russia. There's another issue I haven't spoken about enough, and that's Gaza. Right now, U.S. tax dollars are fueling a humanitarian crisis. Thousands of innocent civilians, including children, are suffering while leaders in both parties fail to act with moral clarity. Some Democrats continue to take money from powerful lobbies instead of standing up for basic human rights, and that silence is costing us not only credibility but also elections. We should have been listening to Palestinian voices long ago, including at the DNC. Ignoring them has weakened our movement, and it cannot continue. Progressives must take real progressive action, whether it's leaders like AOC or Abdul al-Sayed, who show us what moral clarity looks like. I'll continue using my platform to highlight this issue, to amplify voices that have been speaking out all along, and to push for justice, truth, and dignity. Because if Democrats can't be trusted to do what's right, then what's the point? Even Chris Hayes recently underscored just how urgent this crisis really is. Let's take a look at that right now. This is the defining issue of our time. It's revealing who has the courage to act with moral clarity and who doesn't. And that's exactly how I'll continue reporting on this show. If you'd like to support the work we're doing here, hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and if you made it all the way to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I will see you soon.